Hi guys, this package here is the revised layouts for the posts, and I just thought I would go over it real quick. You're going to want to note grid line I and F. This is along grid line F, that's one of the walls, I is the other wall. Grid 3 is the curb, and 6.3 is the curb. And these are the various layouts at each beam. So the ridge beam is layout 1. And you go this direction, it's 2, 3 is going the other way, 4, 5, 6, 7, and that's as far as I got today, but that's the first 7 beams, that's 70 posts or so. So, here's the layout for the ridge. These numbers here written in the beam, that's the elevation from the survey that Vaughn did for us. So this would be 123, 9 and 13/16, and you're going to measure 43 and 5/8 from that masked off area to that corner right there of the shoulder of the bar. You could do it on either side, and it's top of steel, where the steel is at now, to that mark. The next one's 43 and 9/16, 43 and a half, 43 and 3/8, and so on. These numbers up here is how much everything's going to bend down when we put the glass in it, and I guess when they add the sunshade underneath us. So it's a 16th here, a little over 5/16, a little under 5/8, 13, and almost an inch in the middle. These numbers are for me to calculate some of the other numbers you're using. Should you want to check anything, this elevation here, the 127, 5 and 11/32, that's the design elevation of that. And if you take the steel elevation plus that and subtract the camber, you should be pretty close to this number. And I wrote that formula down here on this first page. So the steel elevation, 123 feet plus this number, plus the K dimension, that's here, see, K, and then subtract the camber because that's going to bend out and that's going to give us our nominal height. And that'll hold true on every sheet if you want to just check it. And you've got your K dimension here. I also put them in this chart form, and then I also gave you the shims. What the new survey is showing is the steel seems to be dropping about 1/4 to 3/8 on the first 6 beams anyway. The 7th beam it went up an inch, so I'm not sure what happened there. So we're just gonna kind of make it. We had enough tolerance built in to accommodate that. Kind of changes a few things that we saw. You know, it was real good with the first survey, and now it's a little questionable about some of the camber numbers. I'm not sure what to do with that. So this would be beam 2, and there are 4 extra EXs. Those are in case you need to make any post for A, B, C, D, or E. You just cut them to the length you need. On the first one, there's 1 extra F just in case one got damaged, because the Fs have a double cut, you know, for the ridge. So here you're measuring 38 and an eighth, 3/16, quarter. This one came out pretty consistent. And when it's all said and done, you're going to be at 127, 0 and a 16th. And here's your shims, which are, you know, 1/4 to 3/8 bigger than what I thought. Don't throw any shims away, because I had figured them on that earlier survey, and you would probably come up short. So as the welder's done with them, you're going to want to use them further down the line. So I think you got enough that it shouldn't be a problem. This would be 3, which is the other side of the ridge, pitching the opposite direction, but it follows the same pattern. 123.10, 123.10 and 3/32. So they measured 1 where it was masked. 2 and 3 are calculated to fit between 1 and 4, because he measured 4. They measured 5, 6, 7, and 10. So only 2 and 3 and 8 and 9 are calculated because this beam is straight between here. The camber's the same at every beam until we get to the curb. So you'll see the same numbers up here for the camber. And camber just means the beam is pretty bent, so when you load it, it flattens out. This one, 127 0 1/16. The next line down would be 4s, and that's going to be 126 6 9/16. And you've got all these numbers here. This one, we're getting 1 1/16, 1 1/8, 1 1/4. 1 1/2 is the most shim we can have before we start losing weld. If you get 1 1/2 anywhere, then we're going to have to do something. Hopefully we got enough extra posts that we could make one that would work. Because we need 3.5 inches of weld. One of the details on 7 or 6 shows that. But that's what we need for the weld. Minimum 3.5. Preferably a little bit more. But since the steel dropped from when we sized everything, had to take a guess. We're doing okay though. Here's 5. We're better. We're at 3/4, so we got a lot of variation in there. What I would say for these, when in doubt, bump them higher. Like if you want to do 32 3/4, I'm all for it. I'm tempted to say take maybe do 3 1/8, bump them 1/8, and add 1/4 to these 4. But for now, these are just exactly what it calced out to be, and let's see. I don't know the benchmark that they shot onto the walls. If somebody wants to give me that number, then you can pull a string from benchmark to benchmark, and we can measure down. That would be here. This would be the string. And we could measure down to the same shoulder as a double check, which we promised Vaughn we would do. We said we wouldn't just take their survey and run with it. So if somebody gives me the benchmark, I'll go in and I'll fill out these X dimensions in the chart. It would only take a minute to calculate them. And then that'll give you another way to pull a string across and measure down and make sure we're getting the right crown. So what's going to happen is obviously a 1/16 high to 1 inch high. You're going to get this nice curving shape. And then as the glass goes on, it's going to flatten out to that. If we put a little extra camber in it, we're only going to be crowned a little bit extra. That's not going to hurt anything. If you want, we can talk about that on Monday and just kind of see. These are all right to the numbers we're given. No extra cushion. I'm not quite sure where I'm at. I'm sort of thinking I'd like a little bit more crown to it, because that is just not going to hurt us. 5 was good. 6. And then we come to 7. And 7, all of a sudden, these were 10 1/8 on the earlier survey. Now they're 11 1/4. This one I definitely think we need to check with the string to make sure everything's cool. And our CXs that I made longer than the Cs, because this point was previously lower, they now have to be cut off. You can cut a half to 1 inch off of the CXs to make them fit if this 11 1/4 is correct. But we need to talk about this and find a way to check it. If you give me the benchmark height, that's going to be the quickest way to do the strings and measure down. So let me know or send me an email with the benchmark and I'll fill in the X's real quick. So that's as far as I got. You got 70 posts to do the layout on, and then on Tuesday you should get those crossbars. And then I guess there's one other crossbar kind of straggling that we didn't know about until Thursday last week, and that'll be coming soon too. When in doubt, put that in the last bay over here or over here, wherever you're finishing up. Then it won't hold you up waiting for it. It's not notched for a drop-in, because to do drop-ins we had to make special clips and get those painted, so there was no point in just notching bars without the clips. And anyway, this is the survey that they took, just in case you want to look, and I numbered the layouts again. And you go back here to any one of these, there's grid I and there's grid F. So, and then you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 from I to F. I'd use north, south, east, west, but I'm just not that comfortable as to which way north is on this job. So take a minute, figure out where the grids are, and then that way it'll key you in so you can use these layouts, because it would be a mess if you reversed them and put number 1 by grid F. That won't work. So hopefully that helps. Call if you got any questions, and we'll go from there. I think we should just talk about maybe a little extra camber in here. I may talk to Vaughn for a little bit too and see if they want to get the engineer, and we'll just do a last minute chat with him and make sure they're okay with everything on Monday too. But for now, that's where we're at. These are your Ks, which is your shoulder measurement to the downhill side of crossbar to the top of steel where it stands today. So I guess for selling out and going for it, everything's reasonably close to what it was the first 2 times through. Just adjusting for the elevations are 3/8 lower. I'll talk to you later. Thanks.